Let's take a quick trip down memory lane as we highlight some of the top stories in the world of digital marketing and media.
All this on the final episode of season 2 of Breakfast and Combos. I am Liberty White, video marketing specialist.
And I'm T. Adeola, digital marketing expert.
Season 2, 8 episodes in the can.
In the
Thank you
can, baby.
so
Yes.
much for
We gonna get sound effects for season three.
season
Don't
3.
trip, but for now it's
Right.
yeah.
Because we grew up in that age, right, where
Mm-hmm.
we had all of that going on. But thank you so much for joining us every Tuesday. I know today's Thursday because it was Giving Tuesday. We were like, listen, we need to make sure that the
Mm-hmm.
focus and the attention are on, the organizations that are doing great work out there. So we moved it to Thursday, but we're so happy. If you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments below. Thank you for joining us for these past 8 weeks. 8 weeks.
Indeed, it has been quite the journey indeed. And shout out to our friends over at the Parentpreneur Foundation and Goody Nation. Goody Nation did a 12-hour marathon live stream. Folks, as like Liberty and I, we ain't new to this, we true to this. But
Right.
you won't see us doing no 12 out because that is a lot
Yeah.
of production work. That is a lot of getting things lined. That is no small feat. So shout out to our friend Joy Womack over at Goody Nation.
Yes. And then also, James, and this was part of it too, because we were over supporting the parentpreneur community, which had David Cohen, co founder of Techstars, in the building. And just,
Mhm.
we're both part of the parentpreneur community and just all the amazing work. I think if I remember, don't quote me here, but over $70,000 this year has been given to Black parents who are also entrepreneurs that have, whether that be the need of mental health, and VAs and overall
Mhm.
grants for businesses. So again, that's where Tuesday we weren't here because we were supporting all of these great organizations there. So, but
I am one of the recipients of the
me too.
Parentpreneur Foundation grant. Yep. And so both
Likewise.
of us, shout out to our friend James Oliver Jr. and all the great work he's doing. But Liberty, let's get to business here because we ain't got a
Okay,
lot of time.
that's it.
Thanksgiving was a
Uh
week from
oh,
today,
it
and your
was.
man's backslid in a major way, and it was so worth it. Because listen, I have a sweet tooth that is the bane of my existence. Like if I could get rid of the sweet tooth, I would, but I can't. So I just have to like try to keep it at bay as best as I can. I was over at my man's house. He invited me over for Thanksgiving. His sister made like this lemon cheesecake concoction. It was a pie. So I don't even know what to call it, but it was good. And by the
That
time I was done with
sounds
it,
that
it
sounds
was
so
gone.
good.
Yes. It was good and then it was gone because like I'm not gonna say I hogged it, but you
Okay.
know how like you trying to pretend like you ain't about to eat up the whole thing. You ask me, oh, in your mind, you setting a timer. Like, listen, if they ain't got another slice in 5 minutes, it's mine.
So
They
why did
don't
I
know
think
that.
I was like the only where I like that visual of the timer
Mhm.
because you're like, okay, it's been 15
Yeah,
minutes now. Did everybody do you
yeah.
remember seeing all the
And you're
bodies
polite,
come? Yeah.
like you check with people like, "Hey, okay," but like they don't know that they on the clock. You know they on the clock, but they
Right.
don't. Like you got 2 more minutes to get you a plate before this whole thing walk out with me. Okay. So
Right. Well, you've been going hard this year, so kudos to
mm,
you. And it's known by now. Like once Halloween hits and you just ready for the holiday parties, the family events. It's Hanukkah right now. Like there was Diwali. There's there's a lot. It's to be expected. I'm grateful though that I've been good. Shout out to my trainer. We do group training with Mary, Move with Mary, and we do that on Zoom. But my Apple Watch has kept me in line, like getting up and moving and walking, and because I am seeing progress, that I've been okay. I'm saving it for I'm saving it for Christmas. I'm saving it for
Absolutely.
Christmas.
Like Apple doesn't sponsor this live broadcast yet, so we're not going to talk too much about the Apple Watch because I need some money. But yeah, I will absolutely credit my Apple Watch for the same. My Apple Watch has been on this journey with me. I really got serious in January of last year, so 2 years coming up on. And yeah, the accountability piece, just, at the beginning or the end of every month, either the first or the 30th, just depends on where it hits. I'll post my weight. I'll post, okay, these are the steps I did, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, 100%. And speaking of surprise and delight, real quick. So yesterday I went and got my COVID booster because,
Oh,
why flirt with disaster if you ain't got to, right?
right.
And so I get the shot, and then yesterday was shoulder day. So
Okay.
I'm changing into my
Wait,
gym
you got
clothes.
this shot and did shoulder day?
Yeah, like you don't miss
Okay.
shoulder day. Like Liberty, you ain't seen me in person in a while because you missed the thing. But like this right here, like I ain't got the Brock Lesnar's or nothing like that. But it's nice, Liberty. It's nice right now. But anyway, yeah, I'm changing because I'm about to go hit my shoulders, and then I look down, and the pharmacist gave me a flesh tone or a skin tone band-aid.
Okay.
And when I tell you, I was so shocked, and that's the first time this ever happened to me. I'm
Okay.
37. I'm 37-year-old grown man. I've never had a medical provider give me a bandage that more or less matched my skin tone because
Okay.
I'm looking for this like real like stark bland beige thing that I can just rip off. And it actually shook me for a second because like, did he put a bandage on? Because I couldn't find it
Because you
at
couldn't.
first.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm looking for this thing that doesn't at all match, and oh crap, he put a you know and that just gave me the biggest grin. So that, folks, just to bring it on home, is the essence of good product design and good marketing and good media. And it's shocking that I put a post up about it. I tagged Band-Aid, like did the hashtag, did all that because it's like I wasn't expecting it,
Right.
and it was so very thoughtful. It made me feel almost hugged. You know what I mean? It made me feel like they were thinking about me, you
Right.
know? And it just gave me all the feels.
That is, and you know what? It's interesting that you say that because I remember specifically it was last year, I believe it was, that those flesh tone colors were came out because I just remember friends. I went looking for it specifically for Samantha so that she could have some. I remember friends, all the posts with people posting that. So you're right. Great user need, that
Mhm.
your community needs that. It's been a long time. Like that's well overdue that everybody does
Mhm.
not like everybody does not
Right.
look like that. But
Absolutely.
I am looking forward to the upcoming holidays and getting into our year end review. And one of the when we think about social media, or when, like, as we were talking and preparing this for you all, and just think about like who really stood out this year in marketing, media, digital entertainment. And instantly, what came to mind was all of these space shuttle voyaging into outer space, going into the beyond. But
Mhm.
and in preparing, I was like, oh wait, and I was doing some research, and I didn't even realize NASA won a Webby Award, and that
Yep.
makes
Sure did.
perfect sense because of when you, and let us know in the comments, how did you watch any of the launches that took place this year, whether it be the NASA, whether it be Elon Musk, or, William
Jeff
Shatner, shout out
Bezos. Mhm.
fellow Canuck, fellow Canuck, William Shatner. He's Canadian for those who don't know. And just even how NASA has their whole approach. Like, all these programs that have been coming out for kids and getting them interested in STEAM, science, technology, engineering, and arts and math, and just how they did it from their live events, from their social media platform. Now, I wanted to pull up. Let's see if I can get that going, and their social. So the fact that they won, a Webby Award, which is the awards for web content, whether that be marketing campaigns, video campaigns, but just all content online that they won for social media. That makes perfect sense because the way that they were, and to add one more point, the way they were able to build community, like it was an event. I remember being a part of. I'm part of this professional organization or global organization of live stream and production um, people called office hours. And even though we would be on doing a live show, that we'd have to stop the show and everybody would be like on their on their computers, or we'd bring up into the live show that, okay, we're stopping to watch this launch. Just so how they were able to, something that is so, so it's extraordinary, but having content around it, having an experience, they turn those launches into this virtual experience, and then also having the engagement to follow. So of course it drops off, but that keeping their audience engaged. So that was my, like, okay, that was a star of the year. And when you think about just overall digital campaigns.
Oh yeah. And it was like you said, to your point, it was a very mature streaming experience because
Yes.
before it was kind of like, okay, this thing is happening. And they just sort of left it at that. Now there was commentary, they were talking to experts. It was a very mature, you could tell that they put a lot of thought and effort into the media
Right.
behind it. And yeah, I always love seeing that because again, we never ever ever want to speak in terms that sort of make the pandemic sound like a good thing, because
Right.
it was definitely not a good thing. We lost people. I lost people. But the pandemic really forced everyone to stop and to really focus on, okay, what matters
Right.
and how are we going to do things, and just the overall maturity in the space in
Right.
digital marketing and media. It has matured a lot in a very short period of time. Excuse me. And yeah, you see it in all types of different permutations and iterations. And one of the things that we would be remiss if we did not just briefly mention, not to worry, we are going to do an entire show in season 3 of Breakfast and Convos about NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. But
Mm.
the space of NFTs and non-fungible tokens, that has really it would be a it would be borderline remiss, criminally remiss, if I didn't touch on it, just because it has really blown up in this space. And we're about to I'm sharing my screen right now that has a, yep, there she goes. That has a guide on the tilt from our friend over at the tilt, my man Joe Palizzi, who does Content Marketing Institute. And he also has done, it's in the top on the far right. Yep. All the way
Yeah,
over.
I'm
There we
trying
go.
to.
Found
There we go.
it.
Yes.
I know they kind of hit it. But he has this great guide that goes over NFTs and non-fungible tokens. And then really quick, the thing to know about NFTs is that NFTs are about the digital rights of an underlying asset. So you're
Right.
not buying the podcast or the image or the audio or anything like that. You're buying the rights to it. So this is an oversimplified example. So it's the difference between a CD, for those who like old farts like us who actually remember CDs before MP3s or your vinyl records, versus the actual rights to the music. Okay, so that's the difference. Those are two different things, right? So you have the physical thing in your hand, and then you have the record label who actually owns the rights to it. And our friend Gary Vaynerchuk is doing some very interesting things. Like he's drawing these like second grade pictures. With no diss, I'm just, I'm just being transparent. Gary's drawing these second grade pictures and getting the mail for it because he's Gary. So and more power to him. I have a love-hate relationship with the man. I agree with most of what he says on the motivational side of things. I definitely disagree with him when it comes to higher education, just education in general. But yeah, the NFT space is just something that's worth looking into, especially if you're a content creator like we are. So if you produce podcasts, if you could produce live stream, if you produce music, Kings of Leon sold out, I believe. Quote, no, make sure I'm not misquoting. I believe they
I'm sorry.
sold out
Okay.
of their upcoming album. They sold it as an NFT. Some artists are um, asking for their royalties in NFTs or their advances in
Yeah, and
NFTs.
NFTs.
Right.
And just to reiterate the importance, so a former coworker of mine, I saw him online, and just he was one of the graphic designers at a company that I worked at, and he is a phenomenal creative. And I just remember seeing him put on Facebook, he shared like, creatives, you need to start building a portfolio of NFTs like now. And it was good to see him, because I'm techie and creative, but to see a creative recognize the value of being in and enter into the space. And we'll just take a few more minutes to just even looking back at that. Some of the largest NFTs, like, this is, people are buying the rights to this IP for millions of dollars. And I remember early on during the pandemic, well, not during the pandemic, earlier on this year, Stacey Epps, who is an artist, international artist, also a lawyer, an entertainment lawyer. But I remember, like, my first NFT experience was a gallery that she, or yeah, the gallery is not the right word that I'm looking for, but a virtual event that she hosted. And in there were galleries of NFTs from other artists. So she curated this experience. And I was like, first of all, from the virtual event side of things, I was like, that's so boss. But then the other side of, okay, she created space and created a platform for, she created a platform and space for other creatives to not only, okay, create an NFT, we're going to auction them off. So it was also an auctioning experience, and just seeing more of those kind of interactive ways to experience, to be a part of this world. But then the events world, I'm just like, oh yeah, we're about to see some more. And I'm very excited for what this means for creatives, finally, in many ways, getting their just due and their recognition for what they do, because they're originals, right? So
Absolutely. And just
yeah.
to double click on that before we go to the next topic. So, what non fungible means, that Liberty just said, it's one of a kind.
Yeah.
It's not fungible, meaning you can't exchange it. So, take currency for an example. Currency is fungible, meaning a dollar is a dollar. So, the dollar in my pocket is worth the same as a dollar in Liberty's pocket, and we can exchange or funge the currency because it's worth the same. Non fungible, meaning this is one of a kind. This is it. There is no exchanging. There's no, this is all that there's ever going to be.
Right.
So that's what gives it its value, because it's unique. So you can say, hey, this is to going back to Gary Vaynerchuk. So this is the only second grade drawing I'm ever going to do, because I'm a grown man and I don't usually draw second grade pictures unless I have a very specific reason to. And
Right.
so, because there is no other parrot that can be exchanged for it, it's a unique work of art. The quality can be debated, but it's unique.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it excuse me, my voice is kind of raspy. It's the beginning of December, it's that time of year. Um, and that is what, why creators and creatives are really flocking to this, because by definition, all of their works are non-fungible, right? There's only
Facts.
one Picasso, there's only one Name, there's only one Liberty White, right? There's only
Only
one.
one Tiadela.
That's right. Better know it. And so, because of that, once folks see it as an investment, and they think, okay, so this is the original, the only one that's ever going to be. So I'm going to, invest in it and buy the rights to it. Not the picture. Let's be clear on this.
Right.
They're
Right.
not buying the picture. They're buying the rights to the picture. Those are two different things.
Facts. All right, T. So let's jump into it because I'm like, wait a minute, how is it 10 minutes left in the show already? So let's hop to the next one. What,
Indeed. So we had our good friend Asante Bradford on the show, and go back and check that out because I was not prepared for all of the sheer awesomeness that
Asante
was in
always.
the esports space and just
Yeah.
how big it was and how Georgia is the first state in the union. So salute to Georgia for actually having esports curriculum, which I think is just really, really dope. But esports, for those who don't know, that professional competitive video game playing or online game playing, right? It is worth more than professional sports and movies combined. Let that soak in for a second.
Combined.
We're
Combined.
talking in the neighborhood of $180 billion with a B, right? So, and just for context, a billion is 1,000 million. So $1 million, 1,000 times over is a billion, 180 billion. That's more than NFL, NF, MLB, NBA, all of those, hockey and movies put together. And what's great about the esports industry, at least in my opinion, and how it's really merging youth culture. So
Mm,
Liberty, when we were growing up, the thing was, music. And music has always been a part of youth culture, right? Going all the way back to whether like coming up in my area was a little bit of, NWA, underground battle rap versus the Beatles or whoever. Now that, galvanizing force for youth culture is video games, which has, of course, seeped into the music because you have Drake and Travis Scott, and you
right.
have all these folks doing, integrating into the esports arena and the esports space. But like, and we were talking about this pre show. If you would have told me as recently as 10 years ago that people would play video games professionally and it would be worth more than sports and movies combined, I would have given you a dismissive old man scoff.
Right.
Surely you just, you know what I
Right.
mean? But we're here. We're here. Esports is not going anywhere. And so I'm not telling you to let your children rot their brains and not focus on their studies. That being said, if you got a kid who's really, really, really good at League of Legends or Street Fighters,
Right.
you might want to
There's
encourage
there's something.
that.
I mean, it's the new like golf, or where it's a sport if
Hmm.
you are really good, and really good is elite status, because it is a competitive space. But you go like T said, go back to that episode with Asante. I think that was maybe like episode 2 or 3, where he specifically breaks down. We also talk about the behind the scenes aspect of esports, and there are opportunities there. So if your child, male or female, is into gaming, that if they might not be on point from the actually as a gamer, they're not necessarily going to. I want to make sure I keep this positive, but there are opportunities for them, behind the scenes as well.
They're
And
not
what
going to
we,
ruin their lives. Okay, I'm a
there,
bit more blunt than Liberty is. Like, because I mean, let's call it a spade a spade. There was a point in time where if that's how you spent your time, you were considered a loser.
yeah,
And it's like, why don't you
so
get a
true,
real job? Why don't you do an
right?
adult thing? Meanwhile, this to the point, like folks are running tournaments for millions of dollars,
Yes, and this one being,
millions of dollars.
even I was like, wait, I remember that though. I couldn't remember. I knew it was in China that there was a tournament that the attendance blew records, and it was a League of Legends. And at one point there were 4 million viewers watching. I don't even know, do the World Series, do they pull those kind of
Ain't
numbers?
nobody watching no baseball.
Just,
Like, I mean, not to be
we did this
disrespectful,
year because of the Atlanta Braves. But anyways,
but
I too. So just that esports has really, that was something to really experience this year from all facets, and what they're doing, the new companies that have been popping up and fundraising, just all of that. But we are going to wrap with audio. I just looking at what has happened, because if about this time last year Clubhouse was all the rage, and
Piping hot.
we could talk about their rollout strategy and all the influencers and the creatives that they got, on the platform. But I want to focus on the aspect of the audio part of it and what that meant, because now then everyone else was jumping in. You had Twitter launching Twitter Spaces, which kind of had yeah, I'm grateful I had early access, and it was, okay, this Twitter Spaces. But now, like a year, months to a year later, Twitter Spaces is the business, especially for most of the conversations I'm seeing are the NFT conversations. I'm seeing global conversations from folks in tech. There was a Black Tech one that I was on earlier this week, and just how people are using it. Tech stars using it for pitch practicing for people. There are professionals in video production that are teaching you how to podcast, and just the allure and how people respond to audio. This is just an evolution of what we've seen with podcasts, a podcasting, which is an evolution of radio. It's just that now, and I had some numbers of, Apple, and when, so going from the social media to the, in home, most people are listening to podcasts in their home, listening while they're cleaning, listening while they're creating, organizing. And that even Facebook, according to, I think it was Tube Filter, said the copycat, their copycat platform of audio rooms. But even now, and let us know, I don't know if you've noticed as well, just the notifications that are popping up for audio rooms. And I think this week as well, Facebook, it was revealed or announced that also creators, they're getting paid to create audio rooms, or these spaces where people are listening to conversations. So just those, that being a significant play this year. Apple, if we even take a sidestep to what Apple and the products that they're creating, and just all around spatial audio. So that is something, even though our trend show was last year of like what you need to look for in 2022, audio was a standout winner this year. But then also that's just going to continue into the next year.
100%. No doubt. And it's no secret that like Facebook's has a copy and crush business model, right? They've
Wait, say
long
that again.
since
Hold on. Say that again.
they have a copy and crush
Copy and
business
crush.
model. They'll
Okay.
copy it and then they'll crush you with the thing they stole from you, right?
Right.
Because they have the ability to scale and to go really quickly. And they've long since given up on trying to be innovators. They'll innovate when they can and where they can, but where they
Right.
can't, they'll either just try to buy you outright. And if, like Snapchat, you have the audacity to refuse the offer, they'll just blatantly rip you off without even trying to attempt to hide the fact that they are ripping you off. So, Jane Marie Smith, thank you so much for your comments. We
Yes.
appreciate you listening and watching. Type in the chat the things that you want to see for season 3, any guests you want us to talk to, and we will do our level best to get them, because the network's kind of official. I mean, I don't got Barack Obama on the text or nothing like that
Yet.
yet.
Yeah.
You see how we did that at the same time? But yeah, the network's pretty heavy. So whoever you want to see, any topics you want us to cover, let us know in the chat. Type replay if you're watching it on the replay, and we will get that for you.
Yes, we'll be taking our break, our holiday break, refresh, come back for season 3 next year. And we just appreciate you joining us in this conversation as we uncover and unpack all things video, digital media marketing in this space. So I am Liberty White, video marketing specialist.
And I am T. Adeola, digital marketing expert, signing off for 2021.
Bye, all. Thanks for joining us.